All right. Hey, listeners, welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap with Colleen Biggs. We are so happy to have you here and so excited for all of those that have gone over to ColleenBiggs.net and joined the Leap community. Our Leap community is growing by leaps and bounds. And I'm excited to have another guest here that is a member of our community. And we're going to talk all about how to launch a startup business successfully today. But before I get to that, I want to thank our sponsor, Dr. Melissa Balazan. Are you in pain? Are you suffering from anxiety or depression? Do you suffer from constipation? Are you being treated for a chronic condition such as high blood pressure or high cholesterol? Are you finally ready to ditch the pills and discover the root cause? Ask Dr. Melissa. She helps her clients shift from a plethora of pills to just a few truly necessary ones. Together, she'll peel back the Band-Aids and get rid of the unnecessary things that are just treating the symptoms, and she'll get to the root cause. Be sure to jump over to her website and schedule a Q&A at AskDrMelissa.net. And thank you, Melissa, for being our sponsor today. All right, well, let me introduce you to our guest today, Mary Scott. Mary Scott is an Emmy-nominated documentary filmmaker and one of the top 30 producers of 2004 in Video Producer magazine. She's an expert networker with lots of DIY tips to make you look like you have a crew when you are the crew. She has posted many video testimonials for other businesses and is part of the St. Louis startup business ecosystem, encouraging new business to become wildly successful by working with her and her resources. Mary, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Colleen. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I know that we went all the way back to 2004 and talked about you being an Emmy-nominated documentary filmmaker. How do you go from a nominated documentary filmmaker to being a business concierge of what you do today? How did that journey look?
Well, when you're doing videos for businesses, you want to help them show their best side, as well as do whatever else you can do to make them successful, because you don't just want the video out there as a puff piece. You want it to be an investment. So going to interview businesses in lots of different industries, in lots of different places, I found I have a familiarity with a whole lot of different things and what works and what doesn't work in business. And then when COVID hit, I decided, maybe I can get paid for what I know instead of just what I do.
Right.
So yeah. I started putting all those wonderful connections to work for me.
I love that we had asked you, how you've taken some leaps in your life. And you said, I went off to college and my mantra just became, what the hell? Why not just do whatever, right? So right. Talk to us about that. Have you always had that attitude of really knowing that whatever leap you take, you're going to land on your 2 feet and you're just going to push forward?
I think some of it is a spirit of adventure. I used to love reading science fiction as a kid. And when I discovered Madeleine L'Engle's A Wrinkle in Time, where it wasn't just science fiction, but the hero of the story was a little girl like me. So that was very compelling. And to some extent, when you grow up in a family without a whole lot of self-esteem, it's like you got nothing to lose. So why not take the risk? Because if you die, who would care? That's kind of an odd way of looking at it.
Yeah.
But you either Darwin yourself or you become pretty successful. And when you've taken a few risks and been more or less successful, or, don't die is rule number 1.
Yeah.
But once you've gotten past that, if you actually can accomplish something, you have a few successes, it makes it that much easier to start taking more risks and bigger risks. And you learn that sometimes you win great things and sometimes you learn stuff. So there's really no failure.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's never failure because you always learn something from it, right? And we're able to apply that moving forward. And you had said that you had been behind the camera, as well as in front of it, as well as on stage, right? You love the the concept of yes and.
Yes.
So, and you said you use that to find more than one solution to the problems that people ask of you, right? And you said to riff on. So let's talk about how launching a startup business successfully. What are the true steps that an entrepreneur needs to take? So someone listening to this that is in corporate America, they've always wanted to own their own business. They're looking at, leaving corporate America, or maybe they have a side hustle that they're working on right now. And so they're already kind of starting this hobby or side hustle, but they want to turn it into a true business because they would love for it to support them and their way of life without having to have that job in corporate. What are some of the pieces of basic advice that you would give them?
Some of the basic things is, first of all, there are three different kinds of entrepreneurs. There's the ones who are born that way and they are out to change the world and they are essentially unemployable. They're always going to be their own boss. There are the ones who kind of fall into it by being downsized and they have to start their own business because that's what they know how to do. And then there are the accidental entrepreneurs who have a great hobby or something and people start buying their stuff. And before they know it, they have a business and they had no idea.
Yeah, they're like the cupcakes, right?
Yeah, or the cupcakes or the tutus or
yeah.
or the jewelry for your Crocs.
Yep, you bet.
So, but in all three cases, first of all, unless you can come into it with a huge client list to begin with, you are starting from the word go. You are your brand until your brand becomes bigger than you. You absolutely must get some housekeeping done. You need an EIN number from the government. You need a bank account in a bank that's not where your personal stuff is. You need a credit card that's designated specifically for your business. You really need to separate your business from your personal. You probably need to talk to a lawyer or an accountant about what kind of business you need to set up. Those kinds of housekeeping things. And I actually have a downloadable about the 10 easy steps to actually setting up a business.
Oh, I love that.
After that, if you really want to be successful, there are things that you really have to do. And one of the first big things is to validate your idea. You need to be able to go out into the marketplace to people who don't know you and find out whether or not your idea is good, and very much more importantly, whether or not people are going to pay for you.
Yeah. And how do they do that? So do they ask if someone wants to buy their product, or do they test their service on them? What is one of the best ways of serving?
There are a lot of different ways to do it. First of all, you do need to talk to people who do know you. And get some honest opinions from folks who do know you. Then there are organizations like 1 Million Cups or the Small Business Development Centers, which offer an opportunity for you to present your idea to a room full of people who don't know you, but who are supportive. I call it a warm, fuzzy Shark Tank. And it's a place to go and throw the idea out into the general community to see what kind of questions they're going to ask you. To see what aspects of your idea are the ones that hit, and the ones that you might think are fascinating, nobody else cares.
Right.
It's important to know what about your idea is viable and where the market for it is. And you need to be able to put a team together so that you grow at a reasonable pace and not be underfunded at a certain point in time when you really need to get going because you've got back orders.
Right. Yeah, that's
So,
true. There's a lot of suggestions out there on
mhm,
how to be properly funded. And it really depends on if you have a service and if you're the one giving that service. So then at that point, you just need time, right?
right.
And enough money for the applications that you're using for that service. So if you have a cell phone you use to call the client, or if you have Zoom that you use, right, you
Mm,
need, your business needs to be able to afford those things for
right.
you to be able to utilize. But you're
Mhm,
right when it comes to capital, because if you have a lot of merchandise that you need to buy or supplies that you need to buy to be
mm,
able to make these goods, to deliver these goods, then you need to look at that working capital number that
you do.
you have. And general rule is about 2.5 times, right? Your months of a working capital for you to be able to have it, or 6 months. Some will look at six
Sure.
months of working
And
capital.
some of it also depends on who your suppliers are. You know, if
Yeah.
you're a t-shirt company or something, you have to be prepared for supply
Yeah.
chain issues from time to time.
Yeah.
You have to have a backup silk screener in case of the one
Yeah.
you're using gets overbooked or those kinds of things. But making sure the idea is valid, making sure you have a plan and a budget, and
Hmm.
you've checked the competition. If you can turn competition into collaboration, that's the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think of two t-shirt companies, right? They're going to do very different things because of their style and who's running the company. And if they were to work together to do promotions, think of how many more people they could reach,
Mhm.
with their collaboration versus competition. But, it seems like it's a dog eat dog world where there's some competition out there. We know we don't believe in competition, and we collaborate with each other, because I believe that the right person and your customer is going to choose the right company that they want to work with based on how that company is ran, the
Mhm.
why behind the company, the owner of the company, whatever it may be.
Right, right.
Yeah, they have a certain choice for that. And you had talked about having a download, and I know we have all of your information already right
Mhm.
here for everybody at their fingertips, so they'll be able to find that download later. But I know that for you, life hasn't always been that easy. You take life, with a grain of salt, and
Oh,
whatever gets thrown at you, you just, roll with that. But in so many instances, especially when you're launching a business, because it's our idea and it's our product or
mhm.
service, don't you feel that business owners take it personal?
Oh, they
Yeah,
absolutely do. They
talk
absolutely
about that.
do. And because it's your baby.
Mm,
And just when you're becoming a new parent, you've got a baby.
hmm.
And you don't want anything to go wrong, and you are nervous that you're going to screw this up, and you don't have all the answers but you're supposed to, and all these pressures that we internally and externally have on ourselves.
Yeah.
And the very best advice I ever got when I was brand new pregnant with my first child was from my favorite aunt. And she said, first children are to be avoided at all costs. I said, what? She said, you have to thoroughly convince yourself this is number three. You've been through it all before. Babies bounce. If it didn't go right most of the time, we wouldn't have billions of people in the world. Relax and enjoy your child.
Hmm.
And what's interesting is that advice applies to business babies
Hmm.
as well. If
Yeah.
you take the bigger picture, you can still make them as dear to your heart as possible. But like a good parent, you have to be able to let things out there and survive and
Yeah.
grow and learn on their own.
Yeah.
So being able to have the rest of the village, your
Yeah.
business team, help you get this idea, this service, this business off the ground and functional and successful.
One
Just
of
like
the
parents need favorite aunts and uncles in
yeah.
the community.
which tells you, which is what you're saying is they need to be connected with a community. So number one, if you are starting your own business and your launch, collaborate with other people, strategically put people around you, whether it be a business coach, a community of entrepreneurs, join a Facebook group of entrepreneurs, go get a meetup group of entrepreneurs. We have all those in the Leap community. So those are available for everyone. And the reason why we do weekly mastermind calls and weekly masterclass calls for our members is so that they can come and learn from some of the other members, because someone might be teaching accounting and that's not a strong suit for you and you need to learn more, or someone's going to go through the basics on how to do SEO, or they're going to talk about how to save money and get out of debt at the same time, right? So these are all different subjects that we all need in our lives. And there's going to be subjects that are going to appeal to you. And as a new entrepreneur, for anyone listening that is a new entrepreneur, surrounding yourself with community and people that are going through exactly what you're going through in the launch, and or those people that have done it a little bit further ahead of you and they're about 10 steps ahead of you, it's the best to be around them, because now you can all work together and teach each other, how to get where you need to go.
You get the support and the information. I took a course in how to tune a car, not because I wanted to learn how to tune my car, but because I wanted to learn how to talk to mechanics. And sometimes you only need to know enough about something, like keeping the books for your business or marketing on social media, to be able to hire the right person to do it for you.
Yeah, that's very, very smart that you said that. It's about having the language to be able to talk the language. Talk to us a little bit about the small business development centers that you talk about. I know you're connected with the one in St. Louis, but they're all over the place. And this
They
is
are all over the place.
Right. Another place that a brand new entrepreneur or even a seasoned entrepreneur, should be connecting with, if you're not generating the type of cash that you're hoping to generate in your business or the type of business that you're hoping to generate. So talk us through what a small business development center looks like.
The small business development centers, or SBDCs, are funded by the Small Business Administration, the SBA. So they're getting government money to provide services to businesses for free. And they usually are located at a local college or university. So you look for the SBDC in your neighborhood. They do three really, really important things. One, they will help you put together a business plan, which is absolutely essential if you're a startup, and helps when you're established as well. It keeps you on task. It keeps you focused. Business plan. SBDCs do that. They work with you to create those business plans. They also help you get business from the government. They know where the set-asides are. They know where the requests for proposal are, the RFPs, and they can help you do business with the government. And the third thing they do is provide you a space for mentors. They can actually help you figure out where your business fits in the larger ecosystem, and they can find you mentors for that.
Oh, it's wonderful, which will all give you a leg up on starting your own business and putting it together and becoming successful with that. Because let's, be real. There's been a big shift out there. They don't call it the Great Resignation for anything, And so many people are now wanting to be their own bosses, to have the freedom of time, which is, something I enjoy very much, and have been so happy that I have left corporate America and I have been an entrepreneur for 4 years. It's been a blessing for me. So I want to utilize, especially things like this podcast. That's another great idea we should mention. There are a lot of podcasts out there. They interview guests that talk every single day about new startups and businesses, resources that you can utilize. There should never be a reason for any new business to fail if you are serious about putting the right resources around you and you are not too egotistical to go get the help that you need.
That's
Yeah.
the biggest thing, is you
Yeah.
really need to be able to delegate
Yeah.
and ask for help when you need it, because nobody's got all the skill sets required for a good, successful business.
No.
Nobody's a self-made whatever. Everybody's had help, and anybody who calls them self-made is lying and not giving credit to everybody who did help them.
That's true. You know, I even think about Henry Ford and in the book Think and Grow Rich, and they used to put him on trial and ask him a lot of questions because he wasn't the brightest light, let's say, for on the ceiling. And so they would always ask him questions and try to prove that he wasn't very smart. And he said, I don't know why you're going through this process to, you know, make me look stupid when all I have to do is push any button on my desk, ask a question of something that you're asking me, and I'll get the answer. So why do I have to go and learn it myself when other people that I've hired know the answer to that? So think about it. You know, you don't know everything about marketing. You don't know everything about websites and building websites. You don't know everything about, you know, how to manage your book in QuickBooks and, you know, what the federal government is looking for taxes, what you can write off, what you can't. This is why it's important to have those experts in your corner and people that can teach you and show you and help you through that process, because it is absolutely impossible for you to know everything that you know you need to have when you're running a business. So Mary, you've been delightful today. It's been wonderful having you on our podcast. Can you tell us what is the easiest way for our listeners to connect with you? Is it through LinkedIn? Is it on YouTube? What do you have going on out there that they can?
I have a lot of things going on. You can find me on LinkedIn as Mary Scott STL because I'm in St. Louis.
Yeah.
If you want to contact me, please send me an email. I'm happy to respond, and whatever downloadables that I have, I'll be happy to share with you. You can find me on my website, which is businessriff.com, or what might be easier, maryscott.info, because I'm Mary Scott. I have the information, and that particular page on my website has links to all kinds of virtual networking. Where people can also connect with the LEAP community, because you're one of my favorites.
Yeah. Thank you, Mary. You know, you can also go out to her Facebook group. She has a Facebook group called Startup Business Launchpad. Startup Business Launchpad, and then maryscott.business concierge, maryscott.business concierge. And those watching this on Facebook today, you'll see all of those links in the description, as well as any of you listening to this through our podcast outlets. You will have all the links right there at your fingertips. You can just click on that and go over and check out Mary Scott. And she does have a really wonderful resources page that you can get to, and it shows a bunch of virtual networking opportunities and several ways for you to connect with other people. But some brilliant nuggets today, Mary, about the small business development centers and the simple steps we need to take. And you have a 10-step downloadable for them on starting their own businesses. Mary's a genius at it. That's why we had her on our show. And, you know, we want the success for all of you. And Mary, any last words that you want to leave with our listeners today?
Well, I do want startups to be wildly successful. And I think that if you can help other people make their journey a little faster or a little easier, that's what you do.
Yeah. And believe me when I say you're going to have to take a leap. Right? It doesn't happen in the comfort zone. You're going to have to take a leap to be wildly successful.
Two things we always say in the startup ecosystem. One is do it scared.
Yep.
And the other is fail fast and fail often.
I love that, because in the quickest path to wealth is speed. We all know that too. So thank you, Mary, for being here. And I just want to remind every single one of you, you know, you're the only one that's ever going to be. You're the only you that has, will ever be or has ever been. So if you don't take a leap in this idea that you have to launch your startup business, then all of those people that would have been your customers are being robbed from the products and services that you would have offered to them. So remember that, if you're pulled to do that, get the ecosystem of resources around you, like Mary Scott said. And small business development centers are great. Mary's a wonderful resource for small business owners, and can get you in the right direction. So Mary, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you all for listening. And until next time, be you and be strong. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.